I am here today with Adam Cassi, Executive Director of Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful.
Yep.
Did I do that correct?
You did.
First try. Let's go.
It's a mouthful, but that's who we are.
Yeah, it is a lot of letters, but what's nice is your website is...
KTLCB.org.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I found it real nice and easy. As long as you can remember the name, you can find it without too much trouble. So, Adam, we're going to talk today about more than a few things. Obviously, Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful. I'd like to talk about your experience at Defiance College, as I'm a professor there.
Sure.
I'd also just really like to learn more about you as an individual and some of the stuff that you're into and making happen here in Toledo. So I guess first things first, are you from Toledo?
I am not. I'm not from Toledo. I've been here for a long time.
We got to stop the podcast. We're only interviewing.
Yeah, I know. It's my adopted home. Right?
Awesome.
So that counts. Now, grew up over in Ravenna, Ohio, near Kent State, Akron area, but I've been in Northwest Ohio for the better part of my life.
Very nice. Very nice. So what brought you here?
Defiance College.
Oh, sweet. Well, that's a start there then, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was looking for maybe a 2-3 hour bubble away from home. I was ready to get out on my own, looking for a college, and applied to a number of places. And Defiance College had a interesting degree, restoration ecology, that kind of piqued my interest. And then also they ended up giving me a fair amount of money. So went where the money was.
What is restoration ecology?
Yeah, so it's been more than once that I've explained that I have a degree in restoration ecology, and the person has said, "Oh, so you restore old houses?" And I'm like, "No, you missed the whole the whole ecology part of that,
Gotcha.
the ecology, the environment." So we need that a lot around here, the restoration of our ecology all along the Maumee watershed, taking like farmland, putting it back to tall grass prairie or wetlands or meadows, things that it's supposed to be. So taking the environment and making it what it should be. So some of our forests and wetlands, and making sure that the environment is working the way it's supposed to.
Would those be some of the people who would go in now, like in the aftermath of what's happening in LA, in California?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that?
I mean, typically it's more farmland and industrial and human-caused issues, but after a large fire, absolutely. There's going to be a fair amount of replacing of trees and natural habitats. But we're not... It's not exclusive to the West. I mean, we actually had some tornadoes here a number of years ago, and so looking at ways to replant lost trees in our area is important too.
Oh man, those ones that rip through oak openings. I lived down that way. That was intense. I was just driving through and seeing how just trees were pulled freaking out of the ground was pretty wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And knocked down and taken out. And the forests are important, but especially here in Toledo, we want a good tree canopy. It's important. It keeps our city cool. It provides lots of shade, but it also provides mental health and clean air and clean water. And so when we lose trees out of people's backyards and front yards, we want to get those replaced as well.
Yeah, right on. Very cool. Very cool. So Defiance College, right, had the program. What kind of stuff did you do in that program? What was your degree like?
Yeah, so I liked it because it was science, but it wasn't science that you can't see. It wasn't tiny microbes. It was animals. It was plants. It was things that I could get my hands on and really understand. So it was looking at a lot of wildlife and watersheds and forests and natural habitats and how to make them as healthy as possible. And so there was a prairie that Defiance College had at the time, and we were out there a lot, doing a lot of field work, catching rodents and seeing what was living there and how do we help them, and taking samples of plants, and is it native, is it invasive, what do we do to increase pollinators, how do we help the lightning bugs and the butterflies and the bees. Those things are all important, and we needed to make sure that they had the right plants to be successful.
Is it just me, or is the lightning bug population dwindling?
Yeah, no, I mentioned lightning bugs a lot, actually, because
they're cool things, right? I had good memories of them as kids.
Yeah, people have memories of them, and there's research out there that says people have a hard time remembering what was normal to them as a child, but for some reason lightning bugs stick. Like, people remember going out in their backyard, and maybe they don't remember how much bird life they heard, but they remember how much of the lightning bugs they saw. And so I use that as an example a lot. Like, we can notice that there's not as many lightning bugs as there used to be when some of us were younger, and there's lots of reasons for that. And one thing that individuals can do is try to plant more native plants in their landscaping at their house. Try to leave leaf cover on their backyard. You don't have to compost and mulch up all your leaves. You don't have to rake them all to the curb. Just leave them in the backyard. Lightning bugs and other insects need that leaf cover to complete their life cycle. And so when we leave our leaves in the backyard, we're helping butterflies, bees, lightning bugs, things like that.
So I can tell my wife I'm not being lazy. I'm helping the
Right. I'm
world.
giving you the excuse right now. If you really feel like you have to rake and get all the leaves off your front yard, I do it. That's fine. Keep up with my neighbors. But my backyard, I don't touch until probably end of May. Like, I'm not raking it and I'm not mowing it. I'm letting the insects do what they need to back
Very
there.
cool.
And I've got dandelions and clover back there. It doesn't have to be pristine grass in your backyard. Leave some native stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. So at Defiance, I'm going to stick there since we were there.
Yeah.
What were some of the experiences that you had at the college that stuck with you?
Right. I mean, I was looking for a smaller college. I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle. And I liked that setting where some of my classes were only 5 or 6 people in this class, and had very good relationships with the professors that were there. And felt like they were friends, and I could go to them with troubles and work with them to come up with solutions and make sure that I was being successful, and go to them when I needed help. And that was good. I mentioned that they gave me a fair amount of money. One of the scholarships that I had required me to do service hours. I forget the number. It was like 1,500 service hours throughout a semester, and worked with some really good nonprofits out there. And I still work for a nonprofit, so I think it really helped cement some of my passions and desires to improve the environment, and to improve not just the environment but also the community I live in, working with nonprofits. And so I did a lot of that work out there, but then I also traveled a lot. Being a small college, I took advantage of a lot of opportunities to go to Italy and Central Europe and Jamaica and Australia. I spent a whole semester in Australia, and Defiance College helped pay for a lot of that.
Was that with the McMaster program?
Yeah. So there was the service leader program. We did a lot of service trips throughout the United States throughout the 4 years that I was there. And then the McMaster program and the honors program was some of more of the international trips.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's transition a little bit. You are the executive director, correct, of Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful?
Correct.
I'm going to say it as many times as I can, and
Right.
I'm not going to get it wrong once.
Perfect. Well, when I started back in 2018, I was taking over for an executive director that had been there for a number of years and built this fantastic foundation for me to step into. But one thing that I changed very quickly was that everybody was answering the phone. Hi, this is KTLCB, or we were referred to as KTLCB a lot. I'm like,
The radio station?
People don't know what KTLCB is, and it
Right,
does. When you
yeah.
say, hi, this is KTLCB, can I help you on the phone? It sounds like we work at a radio
Yeah,
station.
for sure.
So, I mean, I know Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful is a mouthful, but it's who we are and what we do, and so we had to rebrand and kind of shift to using the full name.
Yeah, and it works. I mean, you say it enough times, it'll imprint, and people will say it the right way. And that's what I'm doing, working on myself here. Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful.
Yeah,
Let's
what
go.
I have to work on is making sure that I enunciate it all, because I'll end up saying it real fast, and people are like, what?
Yeah, right on. So, yeah, tell me, what is Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful?
Sure. So Keep America Beautiful is a national organization. There's over 700 affiliates across the country. We are obviously the local affiliate here for Toledo and Lucas County. Under Keep America Beautiful, there's kind of 3 umbrellas that we work on. The first umbrella is beautification projects. So Keep America Beautiful focuses a lot on beautification projects. What we do here in Toledo and throughout Lucas County for beautification is kind of plant trees. And I work planting trees under beautification, even though there's so many more things that trees do for us. And I kind of mentioned the heat island effect and clean water and clean air, but there's research out there that if your neighborhood has trees and well-developed trees, people drive slower, and kids' test scores are better, and there's less litter because people are interested in helping the environment and a bit more focused on keeping things looking beautiful. You can tell that a neighborhood has pride in itself when it's got good established trees and not very much litter. But also trees, there's research that there's less violent crime in a neighborhood that has good established trees. So there's a lot of things that lots of times, like I work with the city or the county or different people, and they're like, "Oh, we have this problem, whatever it might be." Well, my solution is often plant trees, because there is a lot of research that says they do good things for a city. So that, and we don't need to do murals and some of that stuff. We've got the Arts Commission. We've got some other good partners that are doing that sort of work. So that's one umbrella. The next umbrella is litter reduction. So we do a lot with going out, picking up litter, but also educating on why we should not litter. We work with some great partners throughout the community. We have Ramp It Up coming up in April is usually when we have that. Nobody likes to pick up litter in the wintertime. It's cold outside, so
And it's covered in snow.
and hopefully usually it's covered with snow, yes, and it builds up. So Ramp It Up is kind of our first get out there and clean up some litter. It is focused on ramps and off ramps, just because we see a lot of litter build up there. We have, a lot of, usually we have about 30, 40 volunteers that'll go out to a number of different ramps for that event. And then soon after that's over, we'll pick up the Toledo Litter League, which is a program we've been running for years, which is a competitive program that groups go out and pick up litter and see who can collect the most litter, who doesn't like a good competition. It is very baseball themed, and we do get Fifth Third Bank to donate tickets to a Mud Hens game in September for everybody that volunteers. So it's a lot of fun. Corporate groups, but also nonprofits and faith-based organizations. I also get, somebody will call me up and say, "Hey, my wife and I walk the dog every day and we pick up litter. Can we join the Toledo Litter League?" Absolutely. Come up with a fun name and submit the form, and we'll get you on the scoreboard. And you're doing the work anyways. You might as well get credit for it. And we do break up the competition into different leagues. So there's the corporate business league, the nonprofit league, the faith-based league, and then the individual and family league. Last year, I think we got about 60,000 pounds of litter, which sounds like a ton, and it is a ton, more than it's lots of tons,
literal tons.
Yeah, right. But there's still so much more litter out there. I mean, still drive around during the summer. We're doing a good job. We're making an impact, but there's still more work to be done. So we're always looking for more partners for that program. And so that's kind of the litter real quick. And then the last umbrella being waste reduction. And there's a lot of things that we do there. Improving recycling, reducing single-use plastics, composting. I can go on and on, which I'm sure we will.
Well, picking up litter is great, but having less litter in the first place would be even better?
Yeah,
maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. People say like, "Oh, but the Toledo's got a litter program, a litter problem. What do I do?" Well, the first thing is don't litter.
Right.
So yeah, I encourage everybody, don't litter. So that's
It's
the
funny.
first step.
My son is very, very, very anti-litter. It's awesome. I don't know where he picked it up, but it's awesome. But I'm assuming it might have been something that they do in the schools. I know you have, and this is something that's near and dear to me, right? The educational part of what you do.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So, I mean, we serve typically around 5,000 individuals annually through direct education. So that's not, we've had billboards and radio and TV and things like that, but direct education where we can go and sit down with a group of 20, 25 people and really give them a good education. Or if it's some of the younger kids, really inspire them to be engaged and want to protect the environment. So we've got our education specialist that's in a lot of schools. We do a lot of adult programming as well. So it's not just focused on youth, but that's where we really want them to be our advocates. So if we go in and really get some of these kids inspired to protect the environment, maybe they'll go into green jobs, which is one of the biggest things that you can do to protect the environment is to get a job about protecting the environment. But on the other side, maybe they just go home and encourage their parents to recycle better. They can be our little advocates of saying, no, mom or dad, don't, try to recycle a hose or a bowling ball or some of the strange things that we see in the recycling bins. Grass and leaves. And
do you guys have little recycling deputy badges to give them some authority and power? You're under arrest.
Perfect.
For littering.
Plastic bags. Don't put them in the recycling bin. You get a ticket.
Well, I'm going to divert here for a quick second, or tangential sidestep. Green jobs. Mm-hmm. I know what they would be, but I have no idea about specifics of any of them or how you would get involved or what. Part of what I do is try to find opportunities and to enlighten people about awareness of what opportunities are out there and places they might be interested in. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about green jobs.
Yeah, so we have a whole presentation, and I've done it a number of times where I go in and the first PowerPoint slide is who wants a job with trash, and nobody says, yeah, I mean, I want to grow up and work with garbage. But man, I mean, it's this next generation that's really going to have to figure out what to do with the massive amount of garbage that we're creating. And so we do kind of start with, well, where does your trash go? A lot of kids see that the trash goes to the curb. And,
it goes to the curb and it ends there, right?
The garbage, truck guy will come by and pick it up. And that's a job, and that's a good job, and that's a quality paying job. But then what happens? I mean, there's so much science that goes into a landfill. There's lots of sanitary engineers and structural engineers and the science behind that, and what do we do with the methane once we're collecting it, and how do we use that for a beneficial reuse. But then that's kind of the landfill side of it. What about the recycling side of it? And so, when you go to a MRF, material recovery facility, it is all very automated. So there's lots of engineers and mechanics and things like that working at a recycling facility. And that recycling is our bread and butter, obviously. So that's where I start. But then as you're looking at restoration ecology, there's a lot of people out there planting trees and restoring environment and working with the Maumee River watershed and Lake Erie and all the science behind algae blooms and the water crisis that we had in 2014. And so, I mean, it just kind of branches out and expands from there and really touches so many different aspects of careers that you could go into.
So are we still having algae blooms? Is that still a problem for us?
It's still a problem, yeah. So,
it was like, it's a 1 year, it was a big deal, and then...
Right. Yeah, and we run into that as a problem in our line of work. Okay, there was a 2014 water crisis. That's a big deal. Everybody in Toledo could not drink their water. So it got a lot of publicity and a lot of people concerned about the environment in Lake Erie and all the nutrients that are going into Lake Erie. Since then, we haven't had a water crisis, but that's because we've gotten so much better at cleaning the water before we drink it. Out in Lake Erie, there's still an algae bloom every single summer, and some of the algae blooms since 2014 have been worse than 2014, and it's not getting the same recognition because we're not having the water crisis. The mayor says it well. I mean, I've heard him say a number of times, like, we don't have a drinking water problem anymore, but we still have a lake problem. We still have a lake water problem, and we still need to fix the nutrients going out into Lake Erie and causing the algae blooms.
So the fact that we were good at actually solving the symptom,
Right.
treating the symptom, we're not actually taking care of the source.
Yeah. I mean, if there was not the technology to clean the drinking water as well as we do, then we'd have to fix the problem in the lake, and it would be much more of an issue. But
can you tell me, like, and again, I know we're going kind of all over the place, but that's just how this is going to be.
Yeah.
What is an algae bloom? What causes it? Why is it a thing now when it wasn't before?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a thing for a long time, and it's not specific to Lake Erie. It happens in lots of other bodies of water. But because there's so many nutrients going into Lake Erie, there's just this huge amount of algae that grows very, very quickly. And then as it dies off, it kind of sucks all the oxygen out of the water and creates these dead spots in the lake. And there's research going on as far as not just the life in the lake, but how does it affect humans and kind of just the spray of it coming off of boats and through waves and those little droplets of water in the air that's causing problems for people as well. And so the algae's bad for the lake, bad for people, bad for drinking water. We don't want it out there. And it's through all the nutrients, mostly coming through the Maumee watershed that are flowing out there and feeding these algae so that they grow out of control and cause an issue. Everything in excess is bad. A little bit of algae is okay. It's supposed to be in there. But when there's way, way too many, then there's an issue.
Yeah, I'm assuming like the farming community here in Northwest Ohio, but also like I grew up in Monroe, Michigan, the Raisin River is, I'm sure, also contributing to the problem. And it's not just us here. There's a lot of things that are dumping into Lake Erie.
Yeah,
from farming communities.
There are a lot. And the problem too is we're not going to fix the Toledo water problem in Toledo. There's only so much we can do here.
Right.
Where we're getting a lot of these nutrients from is all upstream. I mean, the Maumee River watershed goes down to Defiance, where it also connects with the Tiffin and the Algae. So both of those rivers are entering into the Maumee River. And then other tributaries as you go up further. It goes through Indiana, it goes down, then loops back into Ohio again. So there's this huge amount of agricultural area in Northwest Ohio. And so, yeah, we're seeing a lot of nutrients flowing into the river. The more trees we plant, the more restoration projects we can do. Trees pull those nutrients out and filter the water, rainwater, before it gets into the river. So trees, again, help. Like I said, if there's an issue, plant a tree. But also, if we can stop sending as much nutrients into the water.
Attack the problem from both sides,
yeah.
Ideally, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, and I am still here with Adam Cassi, Executive Director of Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful. Is that 5? That's like 5 for 5, man. Holy smokes, I'm doing a pretty good job.
Cassi, I'll give you.
Shoot.
You got to keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful, right? But
the name. Well, what's crazy is, so of the 3 or 4, 5, whatever podcast guests I've had so far, Cassi, right? It's easy.
Easy.
I've interviewed Vince Croce, who his name is Vince Croce, but they Americanized it. Linda Amici, who's using the Italian version of the name, and now you, Cassi. Yeah. All 5 letters, all ending in I. Like I have a type. I'm gonna have to shift here a little bit with some of my guests. Yeah. What? Just curious, origin of your name?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, sweet. Sweet. So talking about Ramp It Up, and some of the other programs that Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful has going on. How do people get involved, and what are maybe some of the other opportunities for people who want to exactly do that, Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful?
Yeah, keep it beautiful. And people say, oh, you work for Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, and, we try to make it beautiful. We've got, sometimes it feels like it's one step forward, 2 steps back, but we're making progress. Everybody that I talk to says Toledo's, great things are happening here. The metro parks are doing amazing stuff. The city parks are improving. Downtown is vibrant and going good. And so we really want to focus on all of those things. And we want to make it beautiful. And we want people to come to Toledo. And I think litter specifically is one thing that kind of holds us back. Nobody wants to be a tourist in a city full of litter, or bring new business to a city full of litter. And so litter actually does impact the housing market and business development and tourism. And so it is economic. So that's important. So we do want people to not litter and to pick up litter and have some pride in their neighborhoods. There's research out there that says that if an area is clean, people are less likely to litter there. If they pull up to an exit and everything is pristine and looks nice, they know that area, that it's socially unacceptable to litter there. Mm-hmm. If they pull up to an exit and there's litter everywhere, then what is one more to-go bag or plastic water bottle, and they just chuck it out the window. So don't do that. That's littering. That's bad. But also, the more we can keep our community clean, the less likely people are going to litter. We want to show that it is socially unacceptable to litter anywhere in Toledo. Actually, there is other research that says that people who do litter are not aware of how socially unacceptable it is. They think everybody does it, so they'll do it as well. But here I am telling you, it is socially unacceptable to litter. Don't be that person.
Yeah, I will never understand. Like, I've seen it at a gas station or like a department store or grocery store parking lot where it looks like somebody just emptied out their entire ashtray and entire car into this spot right where the door. I'm like, where did you learn that? Where did that become something that you thought you would do, right?
Be acceptable, right?
Because you go to a gas station and there's a garbage can every time you go. Anyway, we'll keep moving on.
Yeah. But I got off, I think, on a tangent. How do you get involved, right? How do you help? Beyond just don't litter and be a good recycler, but that is another thing, is be a good recycler. But for Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful specifically, go to our website, the initials for Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful, ktlcb.org. There is a spot where you can sign up to get our volunteer emails. So actually, just the other day, we did a collection of I keep calling them reusable Christmas trees. They're not reusable. I mean, they are reusable. What do we call them? Artificial Christmas trees. So, I mean, the city of Toledo, Sylvania, Mommy, everybody does a collection of the natural Christmas trees, but I haven't seen a artificial Christmas tree collection yet. So we did one, packed our trailer full of Christmas trees, and we did it over at Lot Industries. They're a good partner of ours, and we also collected styrofoam while we were there, and another thing that you get from the holidays a lot. But we had 5 or 6 fantastic volunteers that showed up. So we do find that if we do a collection of some sorts, we get a few volunteers. If we do a litter cleanup, we get a good number of volunteers. If we plant a tree, we have more volunteers than we know what to do with. Everybody likes to plant a tree. So, but that's important. We need to do that as well.
Little bait and switch maybe sometimes, you know.
I say,
here we're going to plant one tree, but then go do something else.
Yeah, well, every time we do a tree planting, I always bring our litter cleanup supplies too,
nice.
just so we can clean up
For
the
idle
area
hands,
around.
Yeah, nice.
So I do like to work that in.
One thing before you go on, it is interesting because, like, just thinking here, the language we use to talk about things is so important because that develops the mindset, right? Like an artificial tree, it doesn't evoke that it's reusable, but calling it a reusable tree, 1,000% does that. Just by a simple name change, you can shift the way people think about some of this stuff.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It is supposed to be reused over and over and over again. That's how you get the benefit environmentally of switching to a artificial tree, a reusable tree over a real tree that gets cut down. And yeah.
So since we're here and I'm a huge Christmas guy, should I have a real tree if I want to be environmentally conscious?
Right. So does a artificial tree have a larger carbon footprint than a natural tree? It does. But also a reusable bag has a larger carbon footprint than a plastic bag. But the benefit you get is using those things over and over and over again. So if you use your artificial tree over and over again, year after year after year, then you get to see that return on investment environmentally, and that it is better to have that something that you use over and over again. Same thing with the bags. I mean, prior to COVID, when I went to the grocery store, I don't know what the percentage is. I make it up. 30% maybe, eyeballing it. 30% of the people were using reusable bags. And I haven't seen that habit really come back again since COVID. And we need to get back in that habit again because obviously a reusable bag does have a larger carbon footprint than a plastic bag until you use it over and over and over and over again, which is what you're supposed to do with a reusable bag. So the more you use it, the bigger that return on investment is. And then you're seeing a better carbon investment in that reusable bag. So everybody get your reusable bags, put them in your car, get back into the habit of taking them to the grocery store and use your reusable bags.
Fabulous. Okay, now back to ways to get involved and how to make a difference.
Yeah.
How to keep Toledo, Lucas County beautiful. Tell me how.
Right. So sign up for our volunteer stuff. Get those and then volunteer. Join the Litter League. Get a team together. It could be a youth group, a church group, your business. Encourage them to join and go out and pick up litter over the summer. But anybody can call us anytime. It doesn't have to be a formal Toledo Litter League group. If you have an organization that wants to do a litter cleanup, call us. We will give you litter tongs and bags and gloves and all the supplies you need. We'll work with the city of Toledo, or if you're out in Mommy or Sylvania or wherever, and get those bags of litter picked up after the event. We take care of as much of the logistics as we can. What we need is the volunteers, the people out there cleaning the litter. So call us up. We will take care of that stuff for you. If you're confused about recycling, call us up again. We do a lot of adult education and youth education about recycling. For recycling to work, people have to do it correctly. Back in 2016, that was our worst kind of time period. We were at 44% contamination in the city of Toledo.
Okay, so hold on. I got to stop you.
Yeah.
So what does 44% contamination mean?
Right. So contamination being things in the recycling bin that are not recyclable.
Okay. And hold on, I'm going to slow you down because this is really I want to try to clear up some misconceptions I might have.
Yes.
Is the stuff I put in my recycle bin and either get picked up off the side of the road, because I don't know if some communities are doing that anymore, or take to the bins in my neighborhood, or whatever I take out there and put in a place that's supposed to be recycled.
Right.
What's happening? because there's a misconception
Oh yeah,
that
there's
it
rumors
goes to
out there.
that it just goes to a landfill.
Right. So there's two rumors that I run into a lot. One, that recycling is broken and it doesn't work and everything ends up in the landfill, which is not true. It's just a rumor. Recycling's been around a long time. And it works amazing for paper and cardboard and aluminum and in most cases glass. And it's very helpful for plastic. So plastic is a little bit tougher, a little bit more confusing, a little bit harder to recycle sometimes based on the number. So if you do find the recycling symbol on your plastic, and when we do education, I'm like, with recycling plastic, find the recycling symbol.
Okay.
If you find the recycling symbol and you put it in the recycling bin, you're doing better than a lot of people. You're doing well. If you take it a step further, what you really want to do is look at that number. Most of our area is using Republic Services as their recycler. Republic Services accepts numbers 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7, which is hard to remember. So maybe I switch it and say what you don't put in there is 3 and 6.
Yeah. Okay.
3 and 6 are very tough to recycle,
And being tough to recycle, if they end up in the bin, then they just cause more problems when they're going through the processing.
Yeah, they do. And sometimes, 6, if you find a recycling symbol on a piece of styrofoam, it's a number 6.
Okay.
A lot of people think, oh, it's got a recycling symbol on it, I can put it in the recycling bin. But it's a 6 and it's also styrofoam, so we can't recycle it. In your curbside recycling, you have to take the extra effort of driving it over to Lot Industries, who has a styrofoam condenser and can recycle it. So sometimes we can recycle things, you just have to take them to the right location.
Okay.
So yeah, 3s and 6s are hard. Try not to put them in your recycling bin. But like I said, also, I don't want to make recycling so hard that people don't do it.
I mean, yeah, would you rather have somebody load up their bin with 1s, 2, 3s, with all of the numbers versus none of the numbers?
Right.
I mean, I guess that's the question.
Yeah. So we want everybody recycling the best that they can. And so
You should be a politician.
Right. The best that they can is if the most that I can do is my plastic water bottles and my milk jugs, then okay. As far as plastic goes, still do your paper and your cardboard and your aluminum cans, because those things are easy. But when it comes to plastic, if you just want to focus on the stuff coming out of your refrigerator, okay, that's pretty good. Take it a step further, find that recycling symbol. Take it a step further, find the number, and make it as good as possible. It is all about percentages. A lot of people think that the other rumor that is out there is if my neighbor is doing a really bad job, if they're putting garbage in their recycling bin, then all of my stuff's going to end up at the landfill too. And that's not true. It is all about percentages. So if we're at 20% contamination, 30% contamination, we're doing okay. The goal is like 15. If we can get down to 15% contamination, that would be great. I mentioned back in 2016, we were at 44%. That's pretty bad. And so, I mean, right now we're hovering around 30, 35, maybe a little bit above 35%. We can do better in Toledo, right? And so we want everybody to do their part.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt, but so it sounds like, and I'm a big nerd, data analytics, data science, all that type of stuff. Like you've already said percentages, that's data. Mm-hmm. How is this data being collected? Who's collecting and distributing and using the data? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, it's all coming out of Republic Services right now, because that's where all of our recyclables go. So, the long story is all of our recyclables for Northwest Ohio, so Toledo, Sylvania, but also Perrysburg and some of the stuff coming out of Bowling Green, all goes to the transfer facility, which is if you're 75 north, you pass the casino, you go over the river. There's the big giant mural on one side, and on the other side is our transfer facility. So everything gets dropped off there. It gets smushed together a little bit, compacted a little bit, and then on trucks to the MRF, the Material Recovery Facility, which is over in Oberlin, and that is owned by Republic Services. So they are keeping track of stuff there about what's coming in. And really, even conversations with them, they're not worried about a little bit of 3s and 6s getting in there by accident. What they're worried about is the things that really don't belong. The plastic film, the plastic bags. Don't put plastic bags in your recycling bin, but I also see a lot of people bagging their recyclables. If you've got your recyclables and you throw all of them in this bag and you tie it up with a nice little bow and you throw it in your recycling bin, it's now trapped. And after the MRF, everything is automated. All these machines are trying to sort that, and if it's trapped in a bag...
A machine can't untie a bag.
A machine can't untie a bag, and the actual workers that work there do not have the time or desire to open that up and see what's inside.
Tangential caps.
Like caps.
Caps from your milk jug or your water bottles, should those go in recycling?
So it's been a little bit back and forth, but pretty consistently over the last number of years, caps, yes, but they have to be on something. So, so reattach your caps.
Interesting.
And the reason for that is because it is very automated. There's all these machines trying to sort everything. Caps by themselves are too small to end up where they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
You go there and you kind of walk the paths through this machine, these machines, and there's caps all around because they just get pinged around. And some of them will end up over in the paper, and some of them will end up over in the aluminum, and they just don't get sorted. So the rule of thumb is if it's smaller than a credit card, don't recycle it. If you got your little sugar Splenda packet and you try to put that in the recycling bin, it's probably going to blow around and not end up where it's supposed to be. And so caps that are small don't end up where they're supposed to be either if they're by themselves. So reattach them. But that also goes for all caps. All lids. So it makes sense for most people to put a plastic cap back on a plastic water bottle, but also put the cap back on your mixed container, like your pickle jar. Put the metal cap back on the glass jar. When it gets to the recycling facility, they have the right processes to sort those things once they get there.
Since we're in the glass city and we are talking about recycling, why can't I put my glass in the bin at the curb?
So for most of Northwest Ohio, you can.
What? I need to move neighborhoods.
Yeah. So,
okay. And I don't know if maybe I am allowed to, but I'm under the impression that I'm not. And I'm assuming recycling glass and dealing with glass is a lot different than dealing with plastics and the other.
I mean, the issue we run into with glass is it's very heavy. It's very breakable.
You can't crush it. I mean, you can crush it, but then it's crushed.
Right.
Versus
And
plastic.
so, think about, again, these machines trying to sort things. And if glass gets broken along the way, that does cause some problems. And so there are some issues with glass. We try to do the best that we can. So a lot of the glass that we're sorting right now is more of a beneficial reuse than a true recycling. But we're working on it. We're making improvements. The exciting thing is that Lucas County, who's a fantastic partner of ours, we actually live in a Lucas County building and have a good relationship with them. Even though we're a nonprofit, we are a nonprofit. We do live in a county building, and that helps us quite a bit. But they are building a recycling facility. So right now I mentioned all of our recyclables go to Oberlin. That's 90 miles away.
That's a lot of gas to haul our recyclables.
Yeah, when we go back to carbon footprint, taking our recyclables 90 miles across Ohio does make it less environmentally friendly. Yeah. It's still the right thing to do. Still recycle. I'm not saying don't do it. But it'll be even better when it's local and not just for the environment, but also a lot of gas means a lot of money.
And local means there's probably at least a job or two tied to it as well.
Absolutely. So there'll be jobs with the recycling facility once that's up and running, and it's scheduled to be up and running by the end of 2026. Where's
it going to be?
It'll be actually close to where the current transfer facility is. So kind of on the other side of the highway. If you're driving 75 north, behind the Anderson silos.
So are we breaking news here on this podcast, or is this something that everybody already knows?
Breaking news.
Yes.
There's been a couple press releases and some press conferences, and it's on the city's website. So
we are breaking news because nobody pays attention to this.
I'm sorry. If it's breaking news and you're hearing it right now, then yes.
Awesome.
But it's exciting stuff for us because not only will there be jobs at the recycling facility, but we also assume that there'll be some secondary sorting and some secondary jobs that might pop up. Recycle Services over in Sylvania is a great partner of ours, and right now they're one of the only places that is sorting glass, and so getting all of our glass over there, maybe we'll have a benefit for them. They'll be getting more material, and so some of our other partners that are currently taking some will have the ability to get a lot more.
Yeah, people who are working with recycled materials, right? There's lots of good synergistic possibilities there. That's awesome. Let's talk about composting.
Yeah.
I just throw all my stuff in a pile in the backyard. Is that composting?
That's composting.
Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and
You don't have to buy one of those little things that tumble stuff for you and everything else?
Yeah, we actually even already mentioned the easiest thing to do for composting is just leave your leaves on your backyard. Composting doesn't have to be this intricate, hard thing. Leave your leaves. If you do mow them in, that's good for your yard. That'll decompose and give nutrients back to your yard. If every single year you're raking your leaves off of your yard and putting them on the curb, then
only to go and buy fertilizer and other chemicals to put back on it.
Yeah, you're taking the nutrients off your yard and then going buying fertilizer at the store. And we did talk about algae blooms a little bit, and so I mean it's all connected, right? So if you are buying fertilizer at the store,
wow, you sound like it's a bad thing.
That's okay.
Okay.
Every single bag of fertilizer at the store, or nutrients, or your spring application and your fall application and your summer application, they all have 3 numbers on them. The 0 number is the middle number is the phosphorus, and it should be 0. You don't need to be putting lots of phosphorus on your yard. I don't know what the first number is and the last number is. All I care about is the one in the middle, and it should be 0. And most of them are. So you have lots of good opportunities to have good fertilizer that doesn't have phosphorus. We don't want all that phosphorus running into the lake. So even in your own yard and at your own house, you can help with those algae blooms. It's a small amount of help, but every little bit helps.
100%.
So if you are fertilizing, that's my little side tangent tidbit there. But yeah. You can just leave your leaves, mow them in. That's composting. Taking it the next step, have a pile in your backyard. That's good for people that have backyards that can accommodate that. There are a lot of people that may be more in the city of Toledo that we don't want everybody to have a compost pile. And especially if you do, no matter where you are, put the right things in your compost pile. We don't want meat and cheese and dairy and things like that in there because it does attract rodents and nuisances and things that we don't want near our houses and in our neighborhoods. But the nice thing is that the city of Toledo, partnering with the Metro Parks and us at Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful, have established a number of drop-off locations for food waste. So they are at Glass City Metro Park, Swan Creek, and Toledo Botanical Gardens. So those 3 places. And we just passed the year anniversary. And I should have looked up the number. Something like 67,000 pounds of food waste has been collected over the year. And so because it was a pilot and very successful and people are using it well, we're looking at hopefully adding another location or 2 come springtime. But the nice thing is it goes to Go Zero, which is out in Wauseon, and they're a great partner. They also work with a lot of businesses like Balance Pan Asian Grill and Mercy St. Vincent's and some other big Owens Corning has been composting for a long time. So if you're a business, a restaurant, a coffee shop that wants to compost, you can call up Go Zero and get composting. But at these drop-off locations, we can take a lot of stuff because as an industrial composter, Go Zero can burn through that meat and dairy and cheese and oil.
Do you mean literally burn?
Well,
or
kind of.
Okay. I'm just fascinated by the process, right?
Yeah, no fire, no actual burning. But that's what a compost pile does is it gets hot.
Okay.
All the microbes, all the organisms in there that are eating up that food.
Energy.
Turning it into nutrients, makes that pile hot. And so your backyard compost doesn't get very hot. There's usually not a lot of material in there. And so it does composting slowly. An industrial composter pretty much composts the same way you would in your backyard. It's just windrows. They have a big pile, and as things compost, they move it to the next pile, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But because the compost, there's so much more, it gets so much hotter, so they can compost your meats and your bones and your cheeses and stuff quick enough that it doesn't give the rodents and the nuisances time to move in. And the nice thing is, too, that they can also compost the compostable plastics. So a BPI certified compostable plastic. It looks like plastic, it feels like plastic, but it's made up more out of a plant material. If you go to a restaurant and you get a fork at takeout and the fork says compostable, if you put that in your backyard, it's still going to take 20 years to decompose. But if you send it to a industrial composter, they'll break through it pretty quick.
Very cool. You know, one of the huge benefits of composting we've seen in our backyard, and I live in a little lot. We threw our Halloween pumpkins back there, and we had free pumpkins the next year.
Yeah.
We actually grew out of that. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a side story. Keep Toledo, Lucas County Beautiful collects pumpkins. We usually have a roll-off dumpster in Sylvania, Maumee, and at Ottawa Park in Toledo. The one in Sylvania gets used fantastically. It was overflowing. And so the guys come to pick it up, and you have to kind of tip the dumpster to get it up on the truck. Okay. And so they didn't want it overflowing. So we stopped by and just skimmed off the top, collected 50 pumpkins. But then they're like, well, we can't take them. You know, we put them in this truck, but what are we going to do with them? They went to my backyard. Nice. I have a compost back there. But the things I do for my job, I have 50 pumpkins currently. I'm going to have more pumpkins than I know what to do with.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't know what my neighbors think.
Adam, you are involved in the Rotary here in Toledo, and I've got no clue what the Rotary is, so can you illuminate me, please?
Right. So the nice thing about the Rotary, there's lots of groups that you can get involved with, but really their main focus, their tagline, slogan, I don't know, I'm going to get this wrong. It's service above self. And that's really what they're focused on. Like, how do we benefit Toledo? How do we get educated about what's going on in Toledo? We've got some great speakers that come. We meet on Mondays at lunch. So if anybody ever wants to come and be a guest of mine, I'd be happy to bring them to a meeting. But
every Monday?
Every Monday.
Oh, wow. Let's go.
Yeah, it is every Monday at lunchtime over at the Glass City Convention Center. So we get great speakers in there learning about what's going on in Toledo and how we can improve Toledo. But the real work gets done in the service committees. And so there's a youth service committee and a disabilities service committee and an international service committee. And there's all these different groups that are really looking at, well, how do we benefit different populations and different groups and different areas of the world to make things better. Obviously, I'm involved with the environmental committee. I was their chair for a little while, and Toledo and Rotaries are grouped together in districts, and so right now I'm chairing the environmental committee for the district, so I have a little bit more of a reach, and we've got some great things going on. But yeah, it's a service organization at its heart. So there's lots of networking that happens. There's lots of chatting with people and getting to know people and growing your network. But when it comes down to it, it's about serving your community and giving back to your community.
So doing things.
Yes. About doing things. Yeah. We don't just go and sit at a lunch and hear a speaker. We meet afterwards in committees and make things happen.
So 3 questions. Is there like a funny hat, a secret handshake, or an initiation?
If there are, I haven't run across them yet. Okay. So I assume I'm in the group, in the know. So
yeah, I would definitely love to come check it out at some point. I've heard of Rotary for a long time, but I've never actually actively pursued really checking it out or learning more. So thank you for that. Is there anything else about Rotary that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, in the vein of our conversations, it's nice to advocate for Rotary, just because they're doing a lot of great things, and sometimes I don't feel like they advocate for themselves as well as they should. Yeah. And so it was about maybe 3 or 4 years ago that we planted 6,600 trees out in Liberty Center along the Maumee River. So we were talking about nutrients going out into Lake Erie and algae blooms and things like that. Well, planting trees and restoring a wetlands has a big impact on pulling those nutrients out and cleaning the river. That was amazing. We're working actually out in Defiance right now. Out in Defiance, there's a 4-H extension, OSU research area out there that's researching how to apply nutrients to agricultural fields in a way that all of these nutrients don't just run off into the water. And so we've done a big service project and done some fundraising and gotten a number of organizations interested in supporting that. The interesting thing is it's now become a partnership between the Toledo Rotary and our district, which is District 6600, and Canada. So Canada's interested in the lake, and obviously it affects everybody. So if we can clean the water going from the Maumee River into Lake Erie, that benefits Canada. And so they're supporting us with this project out in Defiance. But then we're looking at a project at the Rouge River up in Detroit area that the Canadians also want to improve. And so we're supporting them. And then we're going to start bouncing these ideas back and forth across the lake and bringing Rotary International funds. So Rotary International, the international organization, supports projects when there's two countries working together. And so we're bringing some of these funds to our area to benefit the lake, and good things are happening there.
We live in such a cool place. Like I don't know that we realize, like, right, like the Detroit River, kind of everything flows together. That's what Lake Erie is connected to Canada. Wide, I mean, for the shape and size of it, it's just like we live in a really cool spot, man.
We do, and so one thing I struggle with sometimes is you ask anybody in the world, look at a map, and they'll say that Toledo is a Great Lakes city. But I think there's people in Toledo that don't feel like we're a Great Lakes city. They're not connected with the lake. It's a little bit tough to get to. You can go out to Cullen Park, but for some reason people feel like Maumee Bay is far away, and it's really not. I mean,
and it's called Maumee. It's not Toledo.
Right.
Toledo Bay, right?
Right. And it's in Oregon, which just confuses everybody. But yeah, I mean, right now, go out to Maumee Bay. The lake's frozen and it's cool. I mean, just to see how massive that area is, and it's frozen, and when the waves come crashing in and they freeze, it creates these like layers. It's neat. And then go there in summer and experience that and see the lake and get connected to the lake and be passionate about being a Lake Erie city. Toledo's a Lake Erie city. We're using our waterfront a lot better as we grow the Glass City Metro Park and their work over at International Park. They're going to improve that area. I think we'll get more connected to Maumee River and then hopefully by extension also out into Lake Erie.
I mean, this isn't that's not a Toledo issue though. Like growing up in Monroe is the same thing, right? We've got Sterling State Park. We've got the similar proximity to the lake, and there's just a lot of us that were like, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lake there, I guess. But I also found some similarities down in Florida. In Florida and Michigan, like they're basically just one's turned upside down. The people just, I think we almost take it for granted because it's there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it'll always be there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go check it out someday.
Yeah. And I mean, unless you own a boat. Right. But you don't
or your grandparents or a friend own a boat, right?
Right, somebody. Unless you're on a boat relatively consistently, there's the disconnect. Yeah. And we want people to be more passionate about preserving that resource.
Well, because if you use the lake, if you use the river, you're going to care about the status of the lake and the river, right?
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about nutrients and the algae bloom, but it's estimated that 2,500 tons of plastic flows into Lake Erie every year. You go on social media and you can see plastic causing an issue for marine animals, seals and birds along the ocean and whales, and all these animals are getting tangled in plastic and eating plastic and things like that. But it's every single body of water, Lake Erie included. So I mean, it also goes back to the litter side of things. There's estimated that to be 50 billion pieces of litter across United States roadways and waterways, and I don't even know how many zeros are in 50 billion. It's a huge number, and 88% of it is smaller than 4 inches. So the stuff you see a lot of those large, water bottles or whatever. But a lot of it's small, and that small stuff moves. So a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, and that is going into the Maumee River, and it's flowing out into Lake Erie.
And it's harder to catch. Problems. It's harder to catch in the river when it's smaller, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. So let's circle back and talk about Keep Toledo Lucas County Beautiful. Maybe the last time I say it because I'm 100% right now. How can we support what you're doing, what your organization is doing?
Right. So, I mean, the first step is volunteer. So we always are looking for volunteers doing collections. In my warehouse right now, I still have probably 300,000. I'm not exaggerating. Eclipse glasses. We collected eclipse glasses after the eclipse, and I'm like, sure, we'll sort through them. And what we're doing is the ones that are, that were stuffed in somebody's pocket, we're recycling. But the ones that are good and in good shape still, we're donating to an organization called Astronomers Without Borders, who will send these glasses to other parts of the world when they have eclipses, where maybe they don't have the access to hundreds of thousands of pairs of glasses, so that they can enjoy the eclipse in a safe way as well. But we have to sort through them, and it is a slower process than we thought it would be. And so, I mean, just somebody to come out and sit and sort glasses, but bigger than that, the tree plantings that we do. We're looking to plant over 100 trees this coming summer. In 2025, our goal is to plant over 100 trees. And the litter cleanups and things like that. So give your time. We need people to give their time. Be a good recycler. Be a good steward of the environment. Don't litter. If you're confused about recycling, call us up. We'll answer your questions. There is an app for that. It's called LC Recycles. You can find it on the App Store. It's Lucas County app, and they did a great job of creating this very specific locally. So you can type in, what do I do with my paint? And it will tell you local places. Habitat for Humanity over in Maumee. Take it to the restore. They can recycle paint there. You can also put in, like, do I recycle my aluminum foil? And it'll tell you if you do or not. So there's all these things that you can use that app for. And you can go to the web-based version on the Lucas County's website, or just download the app. So be a good recycler. Don't litter. Give your time to keep Toledo Lucas County beautiful. But then also, we are a nonprofit. And so, the thing that nonprofits struggle with all the time is not only volunteers and time, but also money. So to support our cause by going to our website, and there's a place to donate, or keep your eye out for our fundraiser, which happens late summer, early fall, so September-ish. And it is called Green Time in the 419.
Green Time in the 419.
Time in the 419, yeah. And so it's over in Ostrich Town, which is a cool little area. If you don't know about Ostrich Town, it is they've taken what used to be Ostrich Lane, which is where you get the ostrich from. People are like, why ostriches in Toledo? But it just used to be an old lane. I think it was gravel. And they've blocked off both ends of it and redeveloped the storefronts along that area. And it's now just a cool little pedestrian area. They've got a great Mexican restaurant there, and they're opening up a couple other restaurants. And so we use that space. We kind of activate the public space in the middle, the pedestrian lane. Last year we had a band and some food and some drinks and things like that, but then also utilize the restaurants that are there. And it's just a fun time, a great celebration of us, but it's also then a fundraiser for us to grow and continue to improve the work that we do.
Green Time in the 419. There we go. That's got a little bit of a lyrical rhyme to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had a signature drink last year. It was green.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Any other ways to get involved?
Yeah, I mean, those are the big ones. Times and money.
Okay.
So individual, come to the Green Time in the 419. We do have some great corporate partners, some great business partners as well. So if you're a business, an organization that's looking to improve your environmental focus, then partnering with us is a great way to do that. And we also, it's not just, hey, give us money. We also work with a lot of businesses to go in and do kind of a waste audit and work with them on improving their sustainable efforts. And then we also do run a sustainable restaurant program. We've got about a dozen restaurants that are in our sustainable restaurant program. And there's research out there that says that people will drive further and spend more money on things that they see are environmentally friendly. And so we promote these restaurants throughout the year. Coming up soon, it will be Restaurant Week. So a great program that Leadership Toledo runs for their fundraiser. And it's a good partnership with them because that's a good time for us to also kind of hype up our Restaurant Week or our sustainable restaurant program along with their Restaurant Week. And when you go on Leadership Toledo's website, you can actually sort restaurants by location and I think by kind of what kind of food you're looking for, but you can also sort them by if they're in the sustainable restaurant program or not. So if you're involved with a restaurant, call us up and get on that program. And then if you are looking for a place to eat, start with our website, which seems like a strange place to go. Go to keeptoledoLucasCountyBeautiful.org and then look at what restaurants we have on there, because those are the ones that are trying to do a good job environmentally. KTLC.
Hold on, I'm going to go slow for the people to write it down.
All right.
KTLCB.org.
Yep, That's the one.
Fabulous. Well, Adam, this has been a phenomenal conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to share, or should we talk about before we wrap this thing up?
I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a lot, man. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm smarter than I was an hour ago.
Right. Don't put plastic bags in your recycling. That was a big one. So you can recycle them. Yeah.
Take them to Kroger, right?
Take them to the grocery store. And it's not just plastic bags. It's any plastic film. So they're wrapping around your toilet paper and they're wrapping around your paper towels and your bubble wrap and your blue and white Amazon envelopes. So any sort of plastic film can go back to the grocery store at those drop-off locations. But that's a big one. I have lots of conversations in my day-to-day work about plastic bags. Be a good recycler. I go back to the slogan, if you... I don't know what the slogan is. If you're not sure, don't put it in the recycling. That's not the slogan. If in doubt, throw it out.
If you don't know, don't do.
Right. So
maybe, I don't know.
But one thing that I say a lot is anything that's worth doing is worth doing even just a little bit. If you're a recycling rock star, keep up the good work. If you are not recycling, try it just a little bit. Start with your aluminum cans and your cardboard. It has an impact. It will help the environment. Build those good habits and then move on to more good habits. So do it a little bit. I mean, a little bit of recycling is better than no recycling. Just like a little bit of exercise is better than no exercise. A little bit of eating healthy is better than not eating healthy at all. A little bit of recycling is better than not recycling at all. So start there, build those habits, and continue to grow. And and figure out how to support us either volunteering or monetarily. And we will continue to have a bigger and bigger impact on Toledo and Lucas County in Northwest Ohio.
You will continue to keep Toledo, Lucas County beautiful.
There you go.
Sweet. Awesome, Adam. This was phenomenal. Adam Cassi, the Executive Director of KTCLB.
KTLCB.
I get the name right. It's the acronym I screwed up on.
Hi, this is Adam Cassi with KTLCB.org.
Oh, awesome, man. I am just very ecstatic. This was a phenomenal conversation and looking forward to learning more about what you're doing, keeping up with everything in the future. I'm assuming going to the website is the best possible place for people to start, how they can get connected and do all of these things. And I'm going to let you say it one last time.
Keep Toledo, Lucas County beautiful. KTLCB.org.
Fabulous, Adam. Thanks, man.
Hey, thank you.